The special thing about the MC of this story is that no matter how many times he dies, he is always reborn again. It's happened so many times that it's not funny anymore. And each time he is reborn in a different world and time, from the most primitive civilizations to those who conquered outer space. This time our hero's carelessness cost him his life in a battle against a monster, and he was reborn as a baby again. But he's a pro of reincarnation. Let's see what he comes up with this time. In this current life, he begins to scan his surroundings, and by the looks of the furniture and room, he's sure this must be somewhere in the Middle Ages. With the expertise he's built from his past lives, he can easily tell this isn't Earth, which makes him wonder if he's in a fantasy setting this time. But after taking in his current surroundings, he's at least glad he's not born into a poor family. They've even got maids, which leads him to believe this must be an upper-class family in a fantasy world. But more than anything, he's pretty glad that this hot chick is his mother, and he's enjoying every kiss from her to the fullest. Though the language she's speaking is unfamiliar, there's something he can understand without knowing the words. The feeling of her holding him so tightly, and the warmth in her eyes tells him that he's gotten a loving mother in this life, which is a blessing in itself. You see, through his countless lives, he's met and gotten to know all kinds of mothers, but motherly love wasn't always given. Sadly, our boy has even been abandoned right after birth, and there was also a time he was exploited as child labor. But this time, he has a good feeling that this life won't be as hard as others he's lived. That's when a maid comes in and insists on holding the prince as the mother might be exhausted. The mention of prince catches him off guard. He wasn't expecting to be reincarnated as royalty this time. Still, our boy can't quite figure out why his mother does not look so happy. He gets his answer when his mother reminds the maid that people might not consider this child a prince. Apparently this lady, Rafana, had a humble background. She tells the maid Chaina to simply call her by her name, saying there's no need for formalities since no one else is around. Rafana believes the only reason they call this child a prince is because the king's blood flows in his veins. However, this child also carries the blood of someone of lowly status. She already knows that the nobles and other concubines have rejected her son, claiming he has no right to succession because of her humble origins. Seeing his mother drowning in sorrow, our boy quickly tries to wipe away her tears, which genuinely makes her happy. She thinks it's heartwarming that her baby is trying to comfort her. By the way, our boy goes by the name Arel in this life. He personally doesn't care about having no right to succession or loyal followers. In fact, he's happy about it. Being overshadowed means the powerful nobles won't give him a second glance, making him practically invisible to the rest of the royal family. This suits him perfectly. To him it's like hitting the jackpot since he just wants a simple life away from all the rich dude's drama. He's ready to live the life of a carefree prince with nothing to worry about, and his gut feeling tells him that this life is going to be amazing. The main guy is feeling pretty good about himself because he's got both royal and commoner blood. His mother and maid are keeping an eye on him. Rafana looks at him, thinks he seems so happy, and wishes she could keep him that way. But she knows she can't. When Arel hears that, he starts thinking about his situation. In a world where everything is about family and rank, being a prince who can't inherit anything feels like being a pawn with no throne to fight for. He realizes he has no power, and people will just use him until they get rid of him. But then, he reminds himself that his mom doesn't need to worry because he's confident he can handle everything, especially since he was a pro in his past lives. 3 months go by, and Lady Rafana looks at baby Arel while he's sleeping. She thinks he looks like a little angel. She strokes his hair and wishes if it was like the king's. Just then, Chaina tells her the carriage is ready. Rafana quickly kisses Arel's cheek and leaves. As the door closes, we see Arel wasn't really asleep. He was faking it. He laughs, but quickly covers his mouth so Chaina doesn't come running in to check. He thinks it's tough work being this charming. He then sits up, ready to do something no baby should be able to do: power up. He knows time is short, and he needs power to make his life easier. In every world, he knows one thing is always true: strength is everything. If he's strong, nobody will mess with him. While cultivating, our boy starts thinking about all his past lives. One of his biggest wins was creating a method that lets him train even as a baby. It's something his 30th reincarnation invented, and it's a total game changer. The best part? Nobody can even tell he's training. He does some quick math and figures out he'll have 60 years worth of inner ki by the time he's 10, and if he keeps this up. Once he gets past the early stages, he won't even need to focus so hard. He could train while chilling in Chaina's arms if he wanted. To speed things up, he uses his energy to stimulate his nerves, moving all the chi to his brain. The heat from this process spreads through his body, making him sweat like crazy and feel sharp, unbearable pain. As the energy builds up, Arel feels like he's about to lose control. He screams, but quickly stops himself. Chaina hears the noise and rushes into his room, but when she looks at him, Arel is lying still in his crib, pretending to sleep. She wonders if he needs a diaper change, and leans in to sniff. Arel panics, knowing any touch from her might ruin all his hard work. But to his relief, Chaina smells nothing and mutters something about him having a bad dream before walking out. Once she's gone, Arel's body is like a mini furnace, with his energy leaking out everywhere. He struggles to keep it together, feeling like his body might not survive the strain. Nonetheless, he pushes through the pain, determined not to let anyone control his life. Even if it means risking everything, Aurel is set on to become powerful enough to live comfortably and on his own terms. He screams again, loud enough for Chaina to hear outside his door. Chaina suddenly rushes into the room, thinking something terrible has happened. She finds our boy sweating buckets but still lying there, looking like he's peacefully sleeping. Deciding he might need some extra care, she runs off to prepare a bath with herbs. The moment she's gone, our boy jumps to his feet, happy because everything he's been working on is finally paying off. When Chaina returns, she carries him in her arms. Aurel just smiles, feeling lucky she hasn't noticed anything unusual. Thanks to his mana concentration technique, his body is constantly absorbing energy even when he's just eating or sleeping. He feels thrilled knowing that in just 10 years, his power will be unmatched, and the thought makes him really happy. As Chaina holds him, she hears a strange noise, but gets distracted by Aurel's cheerful expression. Meanwhile, Aurel is already imagining the life ahead of him, powerful, respected, and living like a king. He can't wait for that future to arrive. It's been only 5 months since Aurel was born, but thanks to his mana absorption technique, his physical strength and inner energy are leagues ahead of any baby his age. Crawling on the floor, he doesn't stop pushing himself, knowing he's on track to surpass everyone soon. Just as he's focused on his training, his mother walks in and carries him up off the carpet. She brings him a toy he wasn't expecting, and for a moment, his eyes are glued to it. Seeing her disappointment when he hesitates, Aurel quickly starts playing with the toy, pretending to have a blast. Inside, though, he feels embarrassed for very obvious reasons. Still, Rafana and Chaina laugh at how happy he looks. Aurel secretly loves the praise, but knows it's mostly thanks to his mother's good looks. Even so, he decides to embrace these moments of being the fun baby, knowing this time won't last forever. The baby protagonist suddenly shows them that he isn't happy, and the maid can't figure out what he wants at first, but all he really wants is food. He starts to cry. Finally, Chaina guesses right and gives him some milk. While he is busy drinking, the adults start talking about money. They talk about how the funds for the house are running low since yesterday. Even though our boy needs proper food as a prince, there just isn't enough money. The budget has been cut hard this year, and even raising one child is becoming a struggle. This is quite odd for a royal family. Our boy overheard the maids talk about this before. They say his mother, Lady Rifana, will have to eat less to save money for everyone else. If she doesn't, nobody will make it through the season. Our boy can't believe it, and thinks it has to be a joke. But his mother stays positive, saying it doesn't matter if she doesn't survive as long as others can. Hearing this makes him upset. How can they treat his mother like this? She isn't powerful or important in the eyes of the nobles, but she's still his mom. He starts to understand why she is always going out in the carriage. She's been trying to meet the king, but it seems like she keeps failing. Aurel thinks it's cruel. Even if the king doesn't care about her, she is still the mother of his child. How can he let others treat her so badly? He starts crying again because of this, and Chaina hands him over to Lady Rafana, and he calms down in her arms. Even as a baby, Aurel wants to help his mom. Our boy knows he can't do much, but he has to come up with something. Winter is coming, and things will only get worse. In his baby bed, he puts his boss baby brains to work, and starts thinking hard about what he can do to help. Then suddenly, he gets an idea. As Aurel stares at the charcoal in the fireplace, his brilliant mind sees a way to solve their money problem. If he can turn charcoal into a diamond, he could change everything. Even though he's dying to jump out of the crib and get started, he knows his tiny baby body isn't strong enough yet. Instead, he decides to use his mana to float himself out safely. Nobody else knows that charcoal could be this useful, but to Aurel, it's like finding treasure. So he immediately gets to work while the rest of the house is asleep. Aurel focuses his mana, combining it with heat to put pressure on the charcoal. He pours every bit of his energy into compressing it. The process is tough, but he stays focused, refusing to give up. He keeps thinking about his mother's happiness when she sees what he's made. Just as he thinks about her, a sudden burst of energy causes soot to explode out of the chimney. He moves over to the fireplace, digging through the mess until he finally finds it, a sparkling diamond he created with his own power. Now, he just needs to figure out how to give it to his mother without making her suspicious. Feeling satisfied, he rests until morning. When Chaina arrives the next day, she's shocked to see Aurel walking around outside his crib, covered in ash. She picks him up, confused about how he managed to escape. She assumes he must have been playing all night, but the mess in the room makes her pause. The floor, the fireplace, and the carpet are all filthy, and Chaina wonders if something strange happened during the night. She tells our boy not to touch the floor, but he doesn't seem to care. He quickly puts the jewel in his mouth. Chaina notices something strange in his mouth, and asks him to spit it out. She pinches his cheeks, and a diamond falls out. She gets very surprised and asks where he got it. Chaina, who looks after the palace treasury, says nothing is missing, and that the diamond isn't even listed. So she hugs our boy, saying it seems like he wanted to give it to her. Aurel smiles and agrees. with a feeling that his mom would probably be happy. Later, wagons pull up at the palace, filling up the empty kitchen with food and firewood. Thanks to the diamond, they now have 5 years' worth of supplies. Rafana worries about who the diamond might belong to, but Chaina assures her that it could be a blessing meant for Prince Arel. Rafana isn't sure, but she sure feels thankful for the resources. Arel holds onto her dress, thinking she just needs to hang in there until he grows up. He dreams of a future where she doesn't have to struggle anymore. That winter, the fireplace keeps burning, and the palace's finances finally get back on track. One day, while Lady Rafana is eating, she notices the meal is way too much for her and asks about the servants. Chaina assures her everything is fine, and the servants are being treated better now. But what stands out the most to Prince Arel is how his mom isn't looking sad anymore. As he watches her, he thinks she looks prettiest when she smiles. Even though it's the coldest winter ever, it feels warmer to him because things are stable, and his mom is happy. A year passes, and Chaina and Rafana are busy deciding what Arel should wear. They make him try on a bunch of outfits before picking a fancy one. And that's the end of the video. Next part will be uploaded soon, so don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.